GM, hello, welcome. This is episode 0 of Momentum, building on MultiverseX, a new show that we're just doing because we were tired of not doing it. There were a lot of different iterations of this one. We've come to the conclusion that better than waiting and getting it perfect and getting it right, we're running this as an experiment. So I'm very, very happy to be joined here by Robert. Hello, Robert.
Hello everyone. It's not GM, but always it is GM, let's say, in the
It's
crypto world.
always GM somewhere. And hello, Mihai. What's up?
Hey, hi. Yeah, so it's an experiment that we are running live. That's very important. So it's not pre-recorded or anything. It's just live. I'm just curious to see how it will go.
Exactly. And I think like a couple of things before we start, just to set the expectations. This is a podcast built for builders. We're going to go over a bunch of things, different things from like the larger ecosystem, Web3 ecosystem, but also specifically on MultiverseX, specifically tech updates, things that have been happening over the past month. The plan is for us to do this the last Thursday of every month. And yeah, we're talking about technical updates. We're talking about protocol advancements. We're talking about ecosystem developments. We're talking about ecosystem and community achievements. And this, this is live for a reason. This is going to be interactive. If you have any comments, questions, or something, we might keep an eye on the chat and answer some of them. And yeah, that's kind of the idea. The name Momentum, I don't know, Robert, Mihai, like I wasn't involved in the creation of that. Who came up with it?
I just approved, so I can say more about the name.
I was the one with the idea. I just thought about something that cannot be stopped. And then I said something that cannot be stopped and has a great value of kinetic energy, Then I said, okay, let's make it something like so momentum for the ones who are probably to a Latin word, and it actually means that it has a continuation. So every last Thursday on every month, we are trying to keep this and bring news and very interesting stuff for everyone who is going to join us.
And maybe before we start, like also we have the show kind of, again, the layout is pretty clear. Again, this is an experiment, so it will evolve over time. If you guys watching have any cool ideas for it, we might be able to bring them on to the show as early as next month. I'll do a quick introduction of who I am and pass it to the other guys as well. My name is Lucas. I am in like the chief intern at X Alliance, which is the MultiverseX community accelerator, something we started last May, something that is supposed to be a little bit of a in between sort of nexus between what the foundation is doing and what the community members are doing. We're hosting a bunch of events all over the globe. We have a bunch of members that help other builders progress in their path. We have a lot of quests and earning opportunities. We have our own grant program to kickstart some smaller initiatives, some of which we'll mention later on in the show as well. So that's sort of my background, and I'll pass it to Robert next to give a quick hello.
Oh, I am the second one. All right, I am Robert. Your face is getting red and more red and red. I don't think there is a name redder.
This is the new camera will fix this.
Yeah, the new camera will fix that. I know. But I'm here since 2018 from the Elrond world. And before that, I was mostly working on AI stuff for cars which would drive themselves. And before that, I think I've met Bitcoin back in 2011, 2012, where I was keeping a few courses about why Bitcoin will take over the world and will destroy all the banks. That did not happen yet, but there is still a hope to do it, but not with Bitcoin, but with other much more powerful payment systems. So yes, and we will speak not only about tech, but only also about what's happening, especially in the tech world. So feel free to ask anything, and then we can move to Mihai.
Yeah, thanks. I've just observed that I'm the only one that put the first name and and the last name. Yeah, so I'm Mihai. I'm the engineering manager at MultiversX. I've been with MultiversX for a while now. I joined back when it was called Elrond, which feels, to be honest, like ages ago. The fun fact is that I go way back with Robert as well. I believe we are talking almost about 10 years or 11, 12 years. So I worked at the same company with him, a big corporation. Yeah, we had some AI components there. Basically, we were focused on autonomous driving systems. I was in the software department, and Robert was in what we used to call it algo department, or short for from algorithms. To be honest, I didn't even know Robert existed until one day when one of my team members came in the office and said, "Yo, I'm not doing that stupid test." I was like, wait, what? Calm down. What test? He goes, some guy from Algo wants us, wants the entire software department to take this evaluation thing. I was thinking, okay, what guy? Well, it turns out it was our very own Robert Seuss. And that's the very first time when he popped up on my radar. He was actually working on radar, so he popped up on my radar. And honestly, it's kind of funny looking back now, just because he was pushing for those tests because he thought some of the engineers weren't efficient enough, and he just wanted to shake things up. So that's probably he's still shaking things up. Now it's very wild to think about the fact that back then it was all about squeezing more engineering power into for solving the problems that we had, and nowadays with stuff like AI and LLMs and I don't know, whatever you want to mention from the AI field, it's a completely different game. Like anyway, 15 or 20 years ago, even though we had those models, it would probably have been useless without the massive data that we've got today to train them. So same vibe with engineers. If companies with thousands of engineers, of software engineers, figure out how to leverage the tech right, they'll probably explode in the next few years. And here I'm saying in the good sense, exploding. If not, they'll probably end up cutting lots of jobs just to stay afloat. Yeah, but probably we'll dig deeper on that a little bit later. So coming back to Robert and me, um, that test drama struck me. Then during the COVID days, I reconnected with an old high school buddy that I really admire. He was at Elrond and kept talking about how awesome Elrond was. And he's like, hey, you gotta talk to Lucian. Yeah, I did. I talked to Lucian, and here I am at MultiverseX now.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's not just going to be us going forward, and hopefully today we might have a guest or even two. Yeah, it's going to be some guests from the ecosystem. Important advancements hopefully can be discussed here on both the technical and project end, and also some unique perspectives, of course, that come with it. So the plan for today is it is February. It is February. I don't know. Can you guys pronounce that? I haven't quite cracked it.
So it's very hard for me to pronounce it February, and I know that the idea was to continue it with May, March for the next month. How do you call that?
Yeah, I don't know. January. I have an easier time saying that. February. I don't know. It's difficult. But so this month on MultiverseX has all been about AI and what we're building on that, and we'll have a whole section sort of dedicated to it. And the rest of the agenda is sort of like we'll start with a bit of a broader overview. Robert will lead that section, of like what's going on in the ecosystem at large. Then we'll dive more specifically into MultiverseX tech developments. Then we'll have an update on projects and ecosystem developments, hopefully with a couple of guests, like I said. And then maybe if we have time, we'll do some foreshadowing of what's cooking in the coming months or in the next month. But yeah, with that, I think we'll just dive right in. And Robert, I'll give it to you to maybe give us an overview of what's going on in the world out there.
I'm not necessarily on the world, because the world is about Trump, tariffs, misinformation, de-information, new age media, legacy media, all kinds of stuff. And I actually got somebody that I am speaking too much about Colin Georgescu. No, come on. If we have a few IQs and we are part of a democratic society, then we should use a little bit our voice here and there, in a nice way. If it's possible, ask a few questions. And Twitter, it's a place where you can ask questions. Whether the politicians will answer or the journalists will answer or not, that's another type. But at least we tried that. So just for that, in that comment, in the crypto world, I think 2025, it did not start as people wanted. In general, it started with an explosion of the meme coins over Trump, Melania, and Libra. I think Libra was the worst of those. Trump and Melania, they went down, but they were not as much sniped or as much extracted as everything else. And right now, as of today, there is like a new meme coin act proposed by the US government, and I think that even Europe will do something similar or even worse. I also said in January that it will bite back pretty damn hard. And it will not bite back those people who are launching necessarily meme coins. It will bite back those startups who want to do something crazy good in the ecosystem. And it will be about, okay, that new startup will have to hire a lawyer, or probably, and will have to fill in 100 other pages in which it demonstrates that it's not a rug pull or a meme coin or stuff like that, as we have with MiCA regulations or other stuff in Europe, which actually, like, it adds to the costs of the startups from the start. So it's not
Can
so
you give us
easy
a
to
quick
launch.
overview of what the proposed meme coin act is for those who haven't followed?
The proposed meme coin act is it's actually about that public figures like politicians cannot launch a meme coin, but it was launched by the Democrats, so I don't know whether it will go through or not. I would agree that meme coins are not about celebrities. So if you want to make a celebrity coin, then make it, but do the benefits for your followers, like it happened, I think, with Subcarpats in our case. And then holding those NFTs, you could go into the VIP zones. A lot of fun things can be happening around where people are following a set of artists, and those artists are dropping stuff. I think Drip on the Drip House is doing a lot of cool stuff with artists and the followers. That's a fun thing. That's something which has value for the long term. What's happening with Trump and Libra and others, I don't even call them meme coins. I would call them rug pull coins. And not necessarily with Trump and Libra is the biggest problem. The biggest problem is with the overall sentiment and how did it get here. And it was like a social construction in such a way where theft is somehow allowed, because actually that's theft. If you are sniping and then waiting for your friends to buy later, so to you to dump your tokens on your friends, your own community, your own people whom you are chatting, that's actually theft. And in sense, when you have inside information that something is going to be launched and you are sniping it and then dumping it, that's again theft. But it was like, period of time where these kind of thefts were smaller and they were somewhat accepted, but right now nobody cares. So when the Hack to a Girl last year launched and then rocked their community, there was a big outroar, and that person, the girl, did not appear for like 1 month, 2 months, or stuff like that, because there was such a high outrage around it. Right now, with Trump, Melania, or the president of Argentina, nothing. It just whatever. Or against those people who were saying that they were like sniping and extracting everything, no outroar. And this will bite back. And the thing is that blockchain has to do better. Blockchain has to and has the ways to make some of these things much, let's say, eliminate a big portion of these. It's also at the level of how the smart contracts are created, and at the level of the front end, and at the level of the socials, because you could have put only real meme coins into this kind of space by ensuring that the tokens are locked, by ensuring in the contracts different kinds of things, by ensuring that there is like no sniping, maybe have a pre-validation time, random buying, uh, a lot of types of auctioning systems, so you can figure things out. And one of the difference which we did, for example, in MultiverseX, at the first launch pad, which was raised, which was RIDE, we have seen how people were aping in, and then how a few builders actually sniped and bought the first batches, then sold after, making millions of dollars in a few minutes. At that moment, we have reacted as a foundation and given back to the users. And after that, we were thinking about how to make these kind of things better. So we created launch pads with price discovery, with locking tokens. We introduced the MEV protection. So you can do a bunch of things. You will not resolve all the problems, but you can resolve some of it. And the one thing which is, let's say, the worst is to put your head in the sand and then say, no, it's not our fault, it's nobody's fault, it's a free market, everybody can do it. But everybody knows in the background that you are sustaining this kind of criminal activity. So, and it doesn't go against one or two project, but it's the whole ecosystem in this sense. Because and all those calls that you are just one click away from making generational wealth or this kind of BSing, come on, this is not a casino. Like you cannot call meme coins casino because the house wins. So it's worse than casino.
Actually, the Ride Lounge was one of the more interesting things to me that happened on MVX. I wasn't obviously part of the team in any case, but like, it was so interesting to see the foundation actually take direct action, to take it upon themselves to then really like make people whole again. Obviously, it was an imperfect system always, and will be, and the price discovery mechanism and everything introduced since is super interesting. Yeah, so yeah, very interesting moments also in terms of like how the space is progressing, I'd say.
Yeah, the space in 2024, it was not necessarily good in this sense, but we have worse than necessarily meme coins. We have more extracted by hacks than meme coins, if you want to call it. So we have like over 9 years ago, ERC20s were developed, and they are still draining the wallets every single day. It's like millions of dollars every single day. And also with the Bybit hack, which is again, and the whole bunch of Ethereum guys, not the core developers, they didn't say anything because they know that it is actually an EVM fault. but all other calls and everybody is saying no, it's not EVM fault, it's only Safe's fault, it's Bybit's fault because they didn't verify the contract, the information. Man, they sign blindly because you cannot really verify it. You have to take out and install a bunch of other tools to verify for yourself, and a lot of complications around that. And if Bybit cannot do it with his whole OPSEC and cybersecurity team and everything around it, how do you think you or me or my mom will do it? Nobody will do it, or with the wallet drains and everything. So again, it's like the maddening thing about it is that no system is perfect, and you have to acknowledge that no system is perfect, and that every single time there is something you can improve. And if there are something which can be improved by at the base layer, at the execution layer, and it doesn't take like re-architecting everything, you can do it. There is no reason. So like at the current moment, 90 something percent of the contracts on Ethereum are upgradable with proxy and delegate call, which is ugly, which is a security. If you read a security audit report, that's the first thing, and it's big red. But everybody must go on because they must go on. Why can't you implement a function of upgrade and then show it concretely out there? It doesn't take so much. Maybe it takes like, let's say, 2 weeks of development, and then a bunch of tests and some audits, and like a month on top at most, with all the 7 clients they have. And then you can go on and say about this at every single layer. And
But
right now, after the safe hack, everybody is saying that let's say that it should be visible to see what you are signing. That should be the normal thing, that the wallet and directly the wallet, independent on any other system, gets the information, the transaction data from the front end, the microservice or whatever, but the wallet interprets it, and the wallet shows the correct information out to the user. So you sign what you see, because it was demonstrated with the safe hack, and we can demonstrate it with thousands of other things, that in EVM you are blind signing almost everything.
here I think it's very important, but because this is nuts. I mean, the surprise probably for everyone who is not very well aware of what happened is that the initial compromise was via social engineering. So that's what Robert is referring to as the safe attack. So it was specifically a phishing attack that targeted the cold wallet signers. I think I've read an analysis that says that a safe wallet developer, not a Bybit employee, was compromised, and that led to the insertion of this malicious JavaScript piece of code into the safe user interface that Robert was mentioning about, that was not showing the right string to be signed. And this code was hosted, actually is hosted basically in an AVS, an S3 bucket. So it's even crazier that this entire hack was targeting the Bybit wallet by going through the entire other flow. That's why it's very important for everyone to think twice and to pay attention what they are clicking and what they are accessing. And even though we have guardians and they save you from most of these kind of mistakes, there are cases when not even guardians can save you.
Yeah, but that's a big difference, because in how the system is created and how the transaction and the transaction manifest is created in MultiverseX, for 99% of the cases, you will see what function you are calling and with what assets. And that information, that does not come from a microservice. That information is deciphered, and it comes from the wallet as well, which is running on your machine in a secure enclave. So that's a huge difference there. And that's like something right now the Ethereum community says that they want to solve it. You had like almost 10 years to solve it.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah, anyway. So the thing is that at the base level, we can solve, or it can be solved, a lot of things. And then any protocol who wants to be the next base layer of the internet, it has to be ultra secure, and it has to be so easy to use without this kind of hacks. And that's where we're aiming for.
Yeah. I think like one thing, and this is also kind of segging us into the next segment, or maybe part, like a lot of the things, and you mentioned Ethereum like not delivering, that's not a first, right? But like something where like at the base level there's so many things that can just be improved on the protocol level to make things like this much less likely. And yeah, so that's very interesting. I want to talk a little bit about overall like MultiverseX strategy and developments there. And I hear that we might have a guest online here who could join us and maybe elaborate a little bit on that. And with that, I'm bringing up Benjamin Miko. Hi, Ben.
Hello, gents. How's it going?
Hello.
How are you?
Great. On top of the mountain, just making sure I build some momentum. How are things going?
Pretty good. Yeah, like super nice to see you. Hoping that you might be able to give us a bit of an overview of like what February was like for you and your perspective, and of course, any news from your recent trips would be very interested in that.
Look, I'm really excited to see this happening, to see a conversation for builders here happening, giving them some more translations, some more insights, some more ideas, and a platform, a different platform. We have so many platforms now where builders, validators, developers, and so on can chime in, add feedback, add thoughts. But it's great to see another one that is specifically geared at the technical exploration of things, where they can come in, they can come with ideas, and that just educates even more people. Because I think this is the most underrated thing. It's through the education and through the elevation of these conversations, simple things that are related to technology, to developments, to progress, that we're actually building momentum. And I was actually this morning thinking a bit if we should not do a swap and actually name this podcast the Full Chart podcast, and the other one Momentum. But it's really cool. So yeah, really good to see this. If I look at February, first, really great experience and momentum being built on the AI side. Builders being forced and invited and nudged to look at all the AI tooling that is out there. Why? Because AI will be embedded in everything. And when I say everything, it will literally be everything. From you wake up, you get ideas on what you should eat, you get better tools with which you can build, you get ideas on how you can optimize your day. And agents will probably be this interface that you have embedded and you interact, whether it's just market insights or trading or investing, ideally more investing than trading, and then of course building. So that's really cool. If I come even closer, of course, I've been in the US now for a few weeks. I'm already saying that I moved to the US, so that's cool. That's some good news. I'll probably spend much more time in the US than anywhere else, just because this is where things are happening. We love to be part of the conversations, to contribute to the meaningful conversations, and to make sure that the technology we've built helps key builders all around the world. So if I'm coming even closer, Denver is absolutely buzzing with energy. Builders, investors, people that have been with Elrond or MultiverseX before and are now looking for the next steps. A lot of people that have been active in the past, interestingly enough, are coming back and sending us messages that they've been seeing this very good and positive buzz around the builders, around the technology, around the upgrades that are happening. And so maybe one thing is, of course, you've probably seen yesterday, we also met with Charles. We've had some conversations before, but it was good to sit and build that relationship. Very cool to actually bring together many of these ecosystems in the US. So we'll gradually meet with almost each of the big, meaningful ecosystems to see how we can build some bridges, how we can build some cool things together. And maybe last thing, I was mentioning yesterday as a kind of joke that people should maybe just normalize making it a habit of looking at GitHub also whenever they look at the prices, just because GitHub will be a bit of green. You'll always see a bit of green prices. You never know what you get. Some days it's good, some days it's pretty shitty. But at least with GitHub, you have some good green in your life, and you can have some fun. And then building on that, I was saying that people should just pivot to becoming builders. But builders does not mean that they should not focus on building value. They should not focus on thinking how they can improve, let's say, value capture, prices, and all of that. It's just they should think how they can influence it. Because the next, let's say, follow-up that was partly joke, partly a good thought experiment is thinking how we could have in the ecosystem an EGLD strategy, company or movement that thinks how that could be taken to institutionals, that thinks how that can be taken to companies on the balance sheets, that thinks how that strategy can be built and shared with the investors, the contributors, and so on. But that's a different way of looking and approaching things, just because you want to be able to influence it. The prices just tell you something either of how the world feels right now. It's very short-sighted, but then if you can find a way to influence that, that's always through building. Whether you build some cool tools, some cool projects, some cool products, whether you just drive adoption or build a company through which you take the token of the technology to wider adoption. Those are all really great ways of contributing and I mean building. So yeah, was just sharing some thoughts that I had in between a few meetings that are happening right now.
Can you tell us how much longer you're staying, or like any kind of strategic outcomes you're looking for there?
Yeah, so I was joking with Lucian that will of course not go home until something important is closed. Just we need to make sure that things are closed, and we've made some very good progress even this week. But yeah, this is the checkpoint. Like, want to have something very meaningful closed, because then I know that the other things are just momentum building. So we want to have that momentum already started. This is in motion, and we have some good checkpoints, but I'm very pleasantly surprised how much the builders never went away. The right kind of people have always looked and waited to see the good moves, the moves coming to the US, the moves strategically building with other ecosystems, and just making sure that we're present. Sometimes we were actually joking with someone that was just quoting, I think, Plato or Socrates, that half of the battle is won just by being present. So you're there, you're already having some momentum because you're there. So most of the time, no overthinking, just go out. It's 2025, you can just do things. Don't take no for an answer. Don't find excuses. Just go out and jump in the water.
Yeah, that's literally the way we're doing this. Is this episode 0 for a reason, and like, yeah, very very glad to have you on. I think we'll probably just let you go and jump back into the meetings and getting some milestones done. But if you have any last thoughts on next steps or anything you want to share before you leave us.
No, just definitely do it. Just build it. No second thoughts, no excuses. Go in, because once you go in the water, you'll discover a different world. It's not that cold. It's not that bad. Even if it's bad, you're already in the water, and you'll push through. There is no simple way of going through things. And at the end of the day, builders might well get accustomed to the challenges, the difficulty, the eating glass sometimes, and staring a bit into the abyss, and also drinking some coffee and having some fun while doing it. So yeah, there's a lot of good and positive stuff. If you can reframe all the negative stuff into some type of lessons, that's really good. But I've seen on all fronts builders becoming more vocal in the ecosystem. So kudos to that. By all means, builders, please write more. Your thoughts, your ideas, your lessons, those are very valuable to other people. This is how we build that type of momentum. Share it, and then any type of contribution, any type of step. Don't try to do 100 steps today. 1%. Do that first step, and then share some thoughts. And I'd be very curious to read that. Yeah, just do it. You're already doing it, so kudos for that. Keep the momentum going, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Chat very soon.
Chat soon.
Yeah, I mean, very very interesting, right? Like, maybe we'll take this moment to discuss some of the sort of roadmap points that Benjamin mentioned in his paper. I don't know if Mihai or Robert, you guys want to take that. Like, we have a bunch of very strategic goals for this season, let's say, right? Probably the most important one being sub-second finality. But yeah,
Not probably, that's the most.
okay. Yeah,
So
you guys
it's sub-second finality, make it or die, or not necessarily die, but that's how we talk inside, that is such an important part of it, that everything is, let's say, everything is about sub-second finality.
And everything that goes to sub-second finality. So I've seen that we are using this graphic for representing the progress to sub-second finality, just because we said that the sub-second finality is the North Star for, let's say, protocol or for the network itself. And there has been only 2% progress in the last 20 days. And I've seen a comment about that. The thing is that indeed 2% in 20 days, just because now we are with 2 upcoming updates. So the Andromeda release, which is in testing. Probably we will open the governance vote in maximum 2 weeks on that. And also we are going to publish all the details, the technical details about it on Agora. And then Bernard, which is feature complete. We just have to, we had Barnard first and then Andromeda planned initially, and then we switched it just because we wanted to gain some momentum, or to build some momentum on that. And then we will have to merge Andromeda in the Barnard, and we will have to retake the entire test sets and so on. So it will take some time. But after those will finish, it's going to be all sub-second. That will mean full progress, and the speed will definitely increase.
Anything to add there, Robert, on protocol developments there?
The thing is that while what we achieved really well so far is that while the Andromeda was developed, we have developed everything around Barnard. So right now, Andromeda is in super high quality testing, penetration testing. There are developers who are trying to break it. So we are pretty heavily investing in that stuff. and the whole testing team is around that. But we managed to make a small team which focused on developing the features for Barnard as well. So after Andromeda, Barnard will pretty come super fast. I have a question around Andromeda and Barnard. The Andromeda Barnard is getting one-shot finality, which means the block, when it is finished, it is completely final. This is not only Andromeda. It is not only like for the not only important for finality standpoint, which is in some sense it will get like a UX 3 times better for those who are making cross-shot calls, which is pretty awesome. You will not have to wait 1 minute for some confirmation, but around 18 seconds. But it will actually increase our security to super high levels. This will mean that Andromeda, by design, will have every shard and the meta chain will have much bigger security guarantees than right now meta chain has. So any kind of stalling, any kind of invalid block will require a full takeover of a shard, so 2/3 plus 1, in order to make it happen. Otherwise, they just can't make anything, which is awesome in that sense. And you can look that for full shard is 400 nodes plus 400 active nodes and 400 validator waiting nodes, while the competition, let's say Sui, Solana, and others, have between 100 and 200 nodes. So one shard is, in that sense, more decentralized, more secure, more number of nodes than basically most of the chains. We are the number of chains. We are the second around after Ethereum. And after Andromeda is needed for the supernova release, which will reduce from 6 seconds to 0.6 seconds, 600 milliseconds, if it sounds cooler. The block times, it will change the consensus model into one, which is consensus will select only the order of the transactions, and transactions which will get into processing, and the processing will happen totally in an asynchronous ways. But this will come with Barnard. Barnard is super focused on developers. It will bring a lot of new endpoints to the virtual machine, through which developers will be able to develop faster contracts, much more complex contracts, improved back transfer functionality, improved multi-transfer ESDT and NFT functionality, improved execute on destination opcodes, new pre-built binaries to get epoch information, round information, and timestamp information. In general, this will be about Barnard. It will be a pretty heavily VM and developer-focused update.
I just like one more thing maybe. Just drawing the comparison to other ecosystems. You mentioned already Solana, Sui, etc. Is there anything else that people like should understand, like how significant this development is from Barnard, Supernova, Andromeda? Like what are sort of the main distinctions that we should emphasize here?
I think that one of the important things is that we get in the sub-second, but real finality. A lot of the people, what they don't say about Sui, Solana, Aptos, and the others is that their finality is not as final necessarily as we call finality. We say finality those transactions which cannot be rolled back, and that will get into this kind of sub-second sub-second timeline. And on the other hand, all of this will come up on top of sharding. You cannot design sharding later. You have to start with sharding and add the things on top of it. When we started, 6 seconds block was, let's say, a really, really good number. And one block finality was a good number compared to what was in 2020, compared to anything was there. But since then, we have figured out how to change consensus, how to make improvements. You are synchronizing your drinking.
The synchronized finality as well, like
Yeah. And then it was always, so we were always looking for a way in which machines to spend most of their time processing transactions. Right now, with the current consensus mechanism, they spend at most 1/3 of their time in processing, and 2/3 of the time is in passing around messages in the consensus. But as math evolves, as cryptography evolves, as proofs evolves, we can design systems where you can ensure that the system is secure through proofs. We will name them equivalent proofs in case of Andromeda. Equivalent proofs means that you have executed the block, you have reached to this conclusion, which is equivalent with everybody else, and then you accumulate the signatures on top of that. Everybody can accumulate it. But this, in general, it took progress. We were the first one, I think, who introduced a new version of the BLS signatures when we launched in the mainnet. Not new version, in a new usage of the BLS signatures. We were the first one to introduce verifiable random seed in the blockchain, and we will be probably, our new consensus model has a lot of new things, especially this kind of fully asynchronous execution with the need to only agree on the list and on the list of the transactions, as the order is baked into the protocol with the math protection. So it will bring us all the, so, and the thing is that with all the innovations we made around our front ends and everything, with the transaction manifest, I was speaking about that, with WASM and everything, this will add on top of it, and we will have sub-second finality.
Okay, I think one last thing too, which is the sort of low spec machines that MVX is running on right now. I think it's a significant difference, especially when we're thinking of Solana, where like starter kits start at 10K or something like that, and maintenance is extremely high, costly, and like, is that something that will be affected and in which ways by these updates?
Yeah, this is not going to be affected. So neither for Andromeda, neither for Barnard, nor for Supernova. But as I think we mentioned yesterday or the day before yesterday, we will probably need to make improvements after we will finish with Supernova for the parallel processing upgrade, which will bring more bandwidth, that will probably bring us in top 3 most capable blockchains out there. And why is that? I mean, even though when we are saying about improving the low spec requirements, we are not saying like it will become so expensive that you cannot pay for them. Like, it will probably double or triple in cost from point of view and also from performance. And even though if we take into consideration the evolvement of the hardware, we will probably meet with mid from the cost point of view with mid costly hardware for it.
What's a number for that per node or something?
So if we are looking right now, depends on the setup that you have, it will probably cost you around $200 for a low spec machine, and if you want to have something higher spec, it will go up to $400 or $500. Back then, we will expect costs, and here I'm talking about monthly costs, not keeping on bare metal or keeping the setup at home, where obviously the cost will go even lower. If obviously you have a Raspberry Pi for it, it will go even even lower. Or if we did not test running on a fridge, but we've seen in the community some builders that tested running a node by using a Samsung A50 or something like that, which was quite impressive. And we really encourage these kind of approaches just because it demonstrates the beauty of the technology. I mean, the main principle of blockchain is that anyone should be able to run a node anytime, anywhere.
I would double down on this and I will say that I am pushing for lower and lower requirements. So let's make everything possible from, let's say, from the code perspective. Right now, the requirements are around quad core machines and 8 GB of RAM, but actually you could run with dual core and 8 GB of RAM or 4 GB of RAM in some cases. I think the A52 machine has 4 GB of RAM, if I am not mistaken, and it can run. And with all these new improvements, actually the not only the time spent on processing is getting bigger, you have more time to spend on processing, but actually the processing gets much optimized from IO perspective, from processing perspective. And to add that, I think that we don't want to go over quad core machines and 60 GB of RAM. So that's like the top in our maximum in with what we think, and that is just like your all not average laptop, but let's call your average laptop can do that. Even a Raspberry Pi 5 can do that, and I would personally recommend everybody to run bare machines, because that's like really the beauty of the blockchain space, where you run it in your own garage. And it's not only one more thing. It's not only about low specification machines, but it's also about the bandwidth requirement we need. And right now we don't want to change the bandwidth requirements at all. So it will remain the same. We do not want to go in the direction Solana or the others are taking, with gigabits per second or 10 gigabits or 100 gigabits per second bandwidth requirement, because that's costly, and that actually kills all the garages, because you don't have that kind of system in your garage. You are dependent on cloud providers, or making your own cloud, but that's costly.
I want to change the topic a little bit and demonstrate how cool we are. About 10 minutes ago, Victor asked this question about the Hatom stablecoin. So we got on the phone and made sure we talked to the person behind the stablecoin. And somehow he answered the call and is on stage with us right now. Welcome, Ahmed. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, all good. Very happy to have you. Thank you for taking this call on such short notice. And just to answer Victor's question here, so I'll just pass on the question to you directly. How are things going with this stablecoin we hear so much about?
Well, I would say that I'm super excited for what's coming next. Like, we've been working on this specific product for about like a year and a half now, and it is aimed to be, you see, like one of the biggest launches that we will see like on MultiverseX. So we can't wait for Monday to come, actually.
What would you say, and like this is maybe just like taking it back a step, right? Like this is the first native stablecoin on MultiverseX. It's over collateralized. Let's get a little bit into let's say the details of it. Robert and Mihai, also if you guys want to jump in, but first, of course, Amit, like what's the new thing here? Why do we need this? What does it do? How can people benefit from it?
So let's say that during our activity, like on mainnet, through Hatom and the lending protocol, so something that we really noticed was the high yields and the high demand on the stablecoin money markets. So whenever some new liquidity was supplied, there has always been multiple borrowers who directly like took it, and they were ready to be exposed to some high yields just to be able to get access to that liquidity, basically. So what we decided to do, and like before that, so even if the yields, like the supply APYs were like super high, there wasn't a lot of liquidity that has been breached to MultiverseX to be supplied there. So we understand that there was like a real need for stablecoin liquidity. And this is how like the idea of USH has came. So what USH will allow you to do is to be able to access this stablecoin liquidity without having to be exposed to this variable rate. So you will be able to mint it either at a 0% interest rate or at a fixed one through the lending protocol, and actually like allow people to access this liquidity. But I would say that this is not the only benefits or purpose of USH, actually. So besides tackling the stablecoin liquidity issue, it is also helping to reduce the selling pressure on eGold by allowing liquidity pairs to be formed with USH instead of eGold. And this is the exact same transition that Ethereum went through back in the days. And it will also provide access to stablecoin liquidity by using eGold as collateral, eliminating like the need to sell it for the different users. So yeah, I would say like this is the reason, like the main one behind creating like this new product.
I'll take. I was wondering if Robert and Mihai had a question. I think like
No, I don't have a question. I wanted to congratulate in the 2 million EGLD locked in, I think in Hatom, but that brings another type of discussion. Like we don't necessarily want a Lido kind of situation with 33%. So sorry, Ahmed, but there will be a need for others to join the system. But a little bit of competition will make all the products shine, and after that you need not market makers, but those who are making the markets efficient. So congrats on that, but you have to prepare yourself for a little bit of competition, because otherwise we get into the other aspects of the decentralized world, which we don't want that.
Of course. So no, thank you very much. First, and for us, you see, like competition is always good, and what is like most important for us is for MultiverseX to thrive. So anything that push it forward is a pretty good thing. So yeah.
I want to know, like, one of the things that I was wondering, like, what's in your best case scenarios, right? Like, how do you want users, like just regular retail users, to interact with the protocol? And then also on, like, after that, how do you see projects benefiting from it? And then, like, how do you want builders to build on top of it? I guess 3 very different questions, but maybe like in these steps would be interesting to hear.
Well, what I would like users to do is to mint USH and directly like long equal with it, actually. Jokes aside.
That's the strategy. That's the strategy. It's okay, but you need liquidity providers as well.
So I would say that the use case of USH will depend on the specific case of each user. You see, like through Hatom, we have like multiple products ranging from lending protocol, liquid staking, and other collateral stablecoin. So the use cases are different. There could be like some simple strategies and some complex one. So it really depends on the user itself. But what we want to achieve actually with this new product is to have like a steady, healthy, and constant growth, similar to what DAI had, you see, like since it started. So yeah, I would say like this is our objective with the release of this new product.
I think again, myself, I want to congratulate you, Ahmed. Anyway, we had several discussions, but I think this is a clear evidence of the fact that the ecosystem gets more mature, and it will get more and more mature as protocols like Hatom will evolve and will grow. And also, as Robert was mentioning, we encourage new builders to come, and we even support Hatom and we support new protocols just because it will make everything more. It will bring opportunities for everyone in all kind of ways.
Totally agree, and thank you very much for the kind words.
I have a last question before we let you go. The launch is planned for March 3rd, correct?
Exactly, yes.
So take us to the war room. What's going on? What are the final preparations? Like, how are you? I don't know. What is it called? Preparing for impact. You know, like how do you see things going down?
Yes. So like, let's say that everyone is, I would say like a bit stressed, but in the good way. Like those lunches always create like this sentiment, a sentiment of excitement too. On our side, I would say like to give you some more information about like what's going on. So we are like working on different fronts. Like from a tech point of view, we already like took care of the deployment and the upgrade of the required like smart contracts to make sure that we have like enough time before like Monday. So trying to reduce like the charge of work. Like from a functionality like point of view, what we did is we also like included multiple members of the community during like the heavy, I would say like last testing of the last version like of the protocols that will be like deployed on mainnet. So we have a group of more than 20 people like they have been like heavily like testing, I would say, you see like the latest state for the past week already, and like it's still ongoing. And from an economical and financial like points of view, the release of USH must come like with stability. And to be able to achieve that like from the beginning, what we need is to have like a deep liquidity for USH from day one. So we already have deals, I would say, and synced with different partners to be able to create like different LPs for USH from the beginning. So those LPs will be live at the moment that USH could be minted. So we already like shared, I would say, like some more detailed info on our protocol update, but this include like LPs with eGold, with Max, UTK, Ash, Foxy2, and HCM. And yeah, and also of course like USDC and USDT LPs that we paired like with USH. So those are like the things on which like we are focusing, but we are making like some pretty good progress, and everything is set to be live like on the 3rd of March at 4
I
p.m.
think that you will not be the only one in war rooms. I think that we will look with curious eyes for the next big test on the MultiverseX ecosystem, because this is something which did not happen yet. And with all these new pools and all these new markets, I think there will be a lot of circular feedbacks and stuff around how the money flows, how the smart contracts are interacting with each other, how much gas will be used here and there. So it is pretty okay that we have fixed a few issues we had in September, I think, last year, where we had discussions with Hatom, and their transactions were not landing in the safe price, in their Oracle price mechanism and stuff like that. So those are fixed, but it will not be only Hatom in the war rooms for those the first days, let's say. After that, it will be settled if we don't discover something. But it will be a little bit of fun days around.
So I would say like same here. Like everyone will be like in a war mode. Is it like even on our side, just like we are a pretty big team actually on Hatom, but people, or let's say the community, like they are seeing me alone, and maybe like sometime we should like schedule a call, or you see like an AMA where we bring, you see, like the whole team, so they can see how big I would say like the team is. And besides this, I would add that even like on our side, we had like a lot of preparation in terms of how the impact of USH like will happen, what could be like the interaction that people, arbitrageurs or any like participant could make, and what would be like the repercussion on the different like products on the ecosystem. So yeah, like dozens of analyses have been made, and we can't wait to see this live. And even like after the launch, what we aim to do, so we already had an initial round of audits that were like performed for USH, and we aim to have like a second round afterward to really like make sure that everything is as secure as possible.
Amazing. And this Hatom War Room idea, I'm gonna hold you to that. Like organize like a big call. Everybody can like just see how many people you are and like how things are working. Maybe for like once you're done with the real war room, we can simulate it in a more chill environment and maybe all celebrate together for this launch. Again, a year and a half in the making. Congratulations for everything. Thank you for building all of the stuff you guys are building. And yeah, best of luck, I guess, for March 3rd. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys, for having me, and yeah, wishing you a good end of the day. Talk
Thank
soon.
you. Thank you,
Bye.
Ahmed.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Like, of course, like there's the Hatom end, but then you guys must be stressed about all of this stuff as well to make sure all the systems are ready. Yeah.
I don't know. Like stress is
Good
part
stress.
of the life. It's like your phone is. We have a few contacts in. I am in do not disturb in general my phone at night, but there are a few special people like Lucian
Say some names.
who are whitelisted, let's say, for a call, and back and forth in that sense. We had a few war rooms. I think we might make a story around that in the next podcast, just to show you around what happened in the ballroom. It is exciting. It is stressful. You fear a lot of things, but the things what you can, let's say, reduce stress is by more and more testing which you do beforehand. So, and always to be prepared that anything can happen, and then to be prepared to be like fully there and resolve the things. Just one note that I think in the last one of the last war rooms, it was like 12 o'clock at night, or not 12 o'clock, it was 2 a.m. And after 10 minutes, there were over 20 people in the call. And we were
So,
in that call for like the whole day long.
so I think war periods make strong software developers. We can say that, right? Because experience during war rooms and war periods and late night calls just bring the need of urgency, and that's when real teamwork is happening, and when most innovative and fastest and most optimized solutions come up to life, just to solve the issues as fast as possible. And let's not forget that a very important part in being on call and being fast reacting are the validators. So we have so many validators involved, but even though, just because they care about what we're building and what they are supporting and what they are validating for, we had, I think, the fastest response time was somewhere around 6 hours to have more than 66% of the network upgraded. So that's very important for us to have the validators close. We have a red line, to say so, with most of the validators, and when something happens, we directly call them, and yeah, we are happy to have such great validators with us.
Yeah, and it like actually this is also a war room in the sense that the three of us had an agenda. We're not even halfway through. I think we're an hour 15 in. So we can decide on the spot. This is this is episode 0, so we can decide like I think a little bit. Let's go of course through the MVX tech developments. We've already touched on some of the ecosystem developments with Hatom, but want to spotlight a few more things. But yeah, want to pass it over to you, Mihai, to maybe talk a little bit about February AI on MultiverseX. I did that well this time.
Yeah, that sounded cool. Yeah, well, February, and also how Benjamin positioned the entire direction, like global autonomous markets, by talking about an autonomy, a level of autonomy. And I think he already mentioned once or twice during his presence here, we're talking about and thinking about agents. And we are having a hackathon ongoing right now. It's a AI Mega Wave hackathon, and one of the tracks of the hackathon is called AI Agents. But for everyone who participates and watches, probably it's very important to understand that AI agents, at their very core, are basically some programs, and they use the artificial intelligence, and here generally speaking, in one way or another, to do some tasks for us. They can, I don't know, answer some questions, or they can handle some support requests if we're talking about customer service. If we're talking about developers, they can assist with coding, they can assist with debugging. And if we are looking more and more on Twitter, because Twitter became the, let's say, to-go platform for news and for hypes, we see that people have mixed feelings. On one way, we can see the versatility of AI agents. So they automate all kind of routine tasks, and they can support all kind of processes. But the public perception of AI agents is mixed. Some of the people, around 60%, are quite, they consider AI being helpful and that they feel supported. But more than 39% of them feel that there's something more than that. They express more concern than excitement about AI. And now, to understand why, probably, and to understand how those AI agents come into fruition, to say so, I will not go much into detail. Probably we will ask for feedback after the episode if people want to go into real details. But from a very high level point of view, we have a few components which are very important for AI in general. So it's the perception, which means that the AI systems or the AI agents have to be able to gather the data. We had sensors when we worked before, the company we worked before. Now we have APIs and we have text. So actually information and data input has to come from somewhere. Obviously, we have NLPs or natural language processors for taking the text as input and then analyzing it. We have computer image processing algorithms or computer vision for images. We have speech recognition for audio, and all kind of other solutions. Then is the processing part, and here things become interesting because us as developers, we think about if else also as a program that can be called as an AI agent. Why? Just because it reacts to an input and gives you a predetermined output. This is actually what an AI agent is. So he or it or however it's able to take an action after processing the input that you provided. Now, thinking about real intelligence here, we have to say that those systems have to be able to learn. Now, learning can be of several ways, like supervised learning and so on. But I've read or I've seen a video quite a couple of days ago, and I think Ilya Sutskever said that the first step for AGI is combining unsupervised learning with lots of reinforcement learning at the heart of it. And what does it mean? It means that for thinking about unsupervised learning, it means that the system should figure out things by its own, without anyone telling it how to use. So it used some clustering algorithms. And then reinforcement learning, it means that the agent will learn by trying and error. So he's chasing rewards like good results. Now, my question for a long time is that wasn't this how humankind, or in general nature, evolved? Because this is actually what AGI is doing right now. Anyway, cutting short the story, we have heard about ELIZA OS. ELIZA OS is the track, is the AI agents track sponsor. We have heard about Cursor. Probably most of the builders heard about Cursor. Then we are using the MCPs, which is a term introduced by Anthropic, the Model Context Protocol. And we are going to hear them more and more, just because ELIZA offers this opportunity to create, deploy, and manage AI agents. Cursor provides all the developers the ability to make use of those agents and AI in general. And then we have MCP, this protocol that allows now only Anthropic or Claude to access databases, to make calls, to API calls, so basically to bring data to them. Now, I intentionally chose those three examples just because I want to go through something what is happening now in the market, and what we will probably observe more and more to happen in the future. I've had a discussion with one of our colleagues just the other day, and I trust him a lot. He's an exceptional developer. He's one of the exceptional developers. So somehow he's not fully convinced, or he's not fully bought about AI. And just because I trust him a lot, but I also trust myself, I said, okay, I have to search the Twitter, the internet. I have to deep search everything, just because I'm more than sure that this is not happening only in MultiverseX, but is happening all over the world, where developers or senior developers, very experienced developers, feel like AI will never take our place, or will never have an important, or at least not in our lifetime, an important saying. And actually, I found this curve, which thank you for sharing, Lucas. I found this curve, which is very, very important. And I'll go very fast over it, just because it's a lesson that has to be learned by junior engineers who are probably at the university right now, and they are just starting an LLM, and they are using it just because it's cool. You know, they are putting all the pieces together. They hit an error. They just copy the error, paste it to the LLM, and that's it. The LLM solves the problem, gives you an explanation. You need to make an update to the library. That's fine. The LLM can help you. Well, this is a trap, because if you're just copying and pasting code from it without understanding how and why it works that way, you are not growing as an engineer. So you are not growing, you are not understanding the systems behind of it. And back then, when I started programming, and also probably Robert, we had to figure things out the hard way. I mean, taking the book, opening, reading blogs, trying.
You could actually do Stack Overflow and copy paste, but after that, it might have worked or not.
Yeah, but you would have had to understand the problem. So it's important for everyone to understand that LLMs can help, but they should not be a replacement for you searching, learning, and understanding what you are actually doing there. So they can speed you up, but you don't have to let them think for you. That's a problem. And then we go to the mid experienced engineers, to say so. those engineers know their way around. They can make coding faster with LLMs. They use Copilot. It autocompletes a lot and all stuff, all kind of advantages. But the problem is when during midnight, Lucian calls you and says, hey, we have a problem, or you have to trace a race condition in the debugger, or you have to fix, I don't know, a problem reported by one of the developers in or builders in Telegram. Those are still on you as mid engineer. You still have to figure out what was the problem. If you were the junior engineer who did not learn, you cannot support anyone at this point in time. Then we go to senior engineers, and here I believe it's the point where I wanted to touch. Senior engineers actually have the full picture. So senior engineers probably wrote half, if not more than half of the code base themselves. They feel like coding faster with an LLM, but they don't feel like the LLM is actually doing the same level of quality when developing. These kind of engineers are defining roadmaps more. They are hunting down extreme complex bugs, and they are working a lot on fighting and fixing those bugs. And they draft all kind of design documents. And here is a heads up for Robert, because I've seen how happy he is from time to time when he has some time to write some code, just because rest of the time it's just doing all this kind of stuff. Now, at MultiverseX, our systems are quite complex, and LLMs don't have that deep insight yet. Probably they will have, I don't know, in 2 or 3 years, just because on average, LLMs at this point in time have a capacity of around 200,000 tokens, which is not that much. It means something like small to mid projects, I would say, as full context input. But probably this will change. But even though for seniors, I would say that LLMs are cool for experimenting, asking some questions. But when the real challenges hit, we have to count on the senior developers. And very fast on staff engineers, where I consider myself. That's why I'm optimistic, and I feel like the LLMs and also AI agents and AI in general will bring a lot of benefits. We see it from a different point of view. We see a different story here. So our jobs is more to find the way. Our job is to find new ideas, to experiment very fast, and LLMs are great for this. We can do proof of concepts very fast. Proof of concepts that took probably weeks before, now it takes only 2 or 3 days. And I'll just give you one example. Just the other days, I had a request from our accounting team that they need a better visibility and way of exporting data about, I don't know, efforts in engineering teams and so on. They have all kind of strange conditions and questions around how the data should be combined, and how should they configure and automate it and make it fast. Well, this would have been impossible for them to do using Excel or whatever tools are there. So then I thought about an app, and I just did it in 2 days, and now it's working, and it helps a lot. Otherwise, it would have taken quite a few of days, because we have a backend, we have authentication, we have all kind of services. There is a database, we have a front end for it, right? And this is what I would say is very important for all the hackathon participants right now, because we said for the hackathon, we need MVPs, we need proof of concepts, for which we will offer support afterwards with developing. On the other hand, just because we have the other hand as well, is the growth games or the growth grants. For growth grants, we are not looking at proof of concept, we are looking at real projects that can bring real utility and which can support themselves afterwards. just to also cover that on short and to provide a little update on that, we have until now more than 70 applications on growth games, out of which we accepted only 8. But we are in discussions with 20 of them, just because we've seen the potential behind the idea. And the rest were just projects that would probably would fail just because they do not bring the utility. And this is in general for startups. If you solve a problem, you will definitely have bigger chances of success on the long term.
I want to a little bit challenge you here and then
Please.
challenge everybody who is listening. If you are coming to a hackathon and you want to prove a point with your project, even if we are in a crypto world, you have to respond to a few questions and think about how you are going to make money, when you are going to be self-sufficient, what's the timeline to get into the break-even zone. And those kind of questions are probably the first one if you are not in Web3 in crypto, because in Web3 people are saying, okay, we launch a token and then we sustain from there and the token goes to zero. And
it's a meme coin.
And you can call it a meme coin, but yeah. So let's focus on that, because those are some of the things, and AI can help you on that to create some of the ideas. I wanted to make a joke that you consider better than senior developers as a staff, but the staff are in general making cleanups. Sorry for being blunt on that. I think that right now, people are not necessarily realizing it, but I think that the Grok 3 moment right now, or the O3 Pro model right now, is as big of a step as GPT 3.5 was when it launched.
And
I've seen that's such an amazing, like an exponential step from there. At the current moment, if you go down the rabbit hole and you start to understand how to discuss actually and how to prompt these AIs, wow, it is also scary and it's also amazing in both of the times. It helps a lot on research. I think that no developer should fade it, anything. In any kind of PR, pull request you make, or any kind of few lines of code you write, you can actually make the LLM the first reviewer, and it might find optimizations or rethinking of the architecture and stuff like that. Yeah, you have to apply after that, and you need the knowledge to be able to do this kind of stuff. But let's not fade these. These are like amazing tools. I don't know what will happen in the singularity. It is definitely pretty damn right now. It's not the answer to put all the power in the AI's hand, because they would go.
They will do their own language.
But
they will probably do their own language and protocols and so on. And this is a discussion for multi-agent systems, which are trending more and more. And by the way, as far as I've seen, I think they are going to announce ChatGPT 4.5 today. As far as I got. Yeah, so it's quite interesting. For all hackathon participants, they still have a chance to use ChatGPT 4.5, just because the submissions will end on the 3rd of March. Afterwards, we will have 2 days of evaluating the applications, and on the 6th of March, we are planning to host a demo day where we will invite top 9 projects that have been evaluated by the judges to come and and present in front of them. We have incubators, accelerators, we have judges from all kind of companies with different experience, so they can help you on providing a very good feedback and acknowledgeable feedback to your project. And afterwards, on the 7th of March, we are aiming to announce the winners. So basically, this is the schedule that we have for the hackathon.
And then let's also quickly mention growth games are going on. You mentioned 70 applications, 8 chosen so far. It's a $1.5 million growth program, grants in, I think, in 3 different categories. That is build it, accelerate, and launch it. So different categories depending on where you're at with the project. The first build category even has like just calls for proposals. So if you want to build something that the chain and the network needs, there's even clear instructions what to build, and you can dive right in. I think that's a great overview. I wanted just to touch on, like, because Robert, you said there's this watershed moment with Grok. What does that mean? Like, is it has a different way of understanding code that is basically replaces a lot of human labor, or what's this sort of like new moment? I mean, Mihai too, I'm not sure who wants to answer that, but
I think that the first models like 3.5 were good on summarizing things, but with O3 or Grok, it's not only about summarizing from one thing, but to gather information, especially Grok, to gather information from various sources and to bring it together in some sort of format. And when you start to ask him to reason about it, then it's pretty amazing. After that, you can, in the first versions like 3.5, when you were making a code review on asking him to do a code review, or like we tried, I don't know if it was 3.5 or 4, we just run on the whole on our whole architecture or on small pages or everything, and it was giving really, like, those general cases what from any kind of book. It didn't give any kind of specifics, deep things which can be improved. The new ones like 3 actually gets into the nuances, and some of those nuances you are not seeing, and that's amazing.
yeah, I mean, super interesting. I think so. Just wrapping up this sort of like MultiverseX tech developments, we'll dive maybe a little bit more into some other developments that have to do with more the ecosystem at large. But tons of opportunities right now to get started through grants. There's an ongoing hackathon you have until March 3rd. Also, yes,
Monday,
until
the
Monday.
same day with Hatom launch.
Exactly. So
USH.
try out the new AI models and build an MVP and submit it. If there's anything that we can help with, there's also some X Alliance initiatives. Keep an eye out for that. We'll probably do some office hours or something to get you across the finish line if you need any help. But yeah, follow that page, X Alliance, on Twitter, and stay up to date, and also join all of the telegrams, of course, there. In the last section, and I'll go back to our presentation mode here, wanted to kind of showcase a few things that are going on or have been going on in February. I tried, I failed. And one of them is the development of the Warp protocol. So the Warp protocol is something that we launched at the very end of December, if I'm not mistaken. Basically an interesting way of bringing on-chain actions to the web. And I'll let a more technical person explain sort of like what the idea is with warps and how they work, and why we're calling them warps, as in like bringing this warp speed to blockchain actions. And maybe Mihai, you can give us a little bit of an overview what struck you perhaps as interesting about what warps are, and then like kind of how they work on a technical level as well.
Yeah, I think very shortly I touched upon the MCP before, and then coming here to the warps that works, which works. It's a very nice combination. It makes sense just because you were mentioning on-chain actions. This is actually, and this is generally available. An on-chain action usually or most of the times is a transaction. So what actually happens when we are talking about warps? They encode transaction data into a URL. Why? Why URL? Probably you've heard about blinks from Solana before. It's something similar to that. Just because this data has to be parsed by the wallet, and in our case, we have an integration with the extension wallet. So, for example, if you, you can use the extension wallet when you navigate through Twitter or through Facebook or whatever you are using. And the extension is able to introduce some minimal code like CSS and HTML and so to the page so that you are able to see a button or two or however you design this functionality. And when it finds a key code or a keyword or something in the article or in the page, it's actually where an action happens. This is a button. If, for example, you are scrolling Twitter threads and you see staking provider saying something and then a button with prompt for, hey, do you want to stake to this staking provider? Or whatever, you want to swap USH for USDC just because you have seen an offer or something. The user clicks the button that appears on the web page. The wallet decodes those parameters, such as, I don't know, if there's a smart contract involved in it, or a function that has to be called from a built-in function or whatever. And it presents this transaction for user to approve. So if you have the we usually have on the right or on the left, I don't know, you would approve the transaction or to sign the transaction. As I was saying, this process is similar to what was launched before with Solana. The beauty of it and what I think Miha wanted to achieve with bringing warps into the AI agents world is that they should go over. So you should not use them only for paying, voting, swapping, minting, or whatever. They should also make interactions much easier for agents, for developers of agents to be introduced. So it's also the perfect combination for Web 2, bringing Web 2 users into Web 3, and it's also the perfect combination for bringing AI agents closer to accessing databases or to modifying databases, accessing all kind of APIs, and making them actionable. Because as I was mentioning, it's an AI agent when it can do an action, and warps help AI agents to do actions.
And here we have two of them actioning each other through warps. And I'll mention two things on top of this. So one, super amazing to see, and shout out Micha, who built this protocol. It's open source, it's community driven initiative that really enhances the capabilities. We now, as Mihai mentioned, we have a sort of like deep ecosystem integration through something that MultiverseX built, or the foundation built, which is the DeFi wallet, meaning that literally when you see an on-chain action on Twitter or something, you can just click it and execute the transaction right there and then, without ever having to go through the usual things that you have to go through when interacting with the blockchain. So that's, yeah, a huge thing. I think like developers that aren't the foundation, obviously pushing the network much further than it could go alone. And yeah, shout out to everybody building such things. We even took it a step further, as Mihai just mentioned. These warps are also very, very interesting for AI agents. And because we have this AI hackathon going on, there is even a track that is a warp track with, I believe, $6,000 in prizes that if you integrate warps in a meaningful way, you should run in that track. And yeah, this is sponsored by X Alliance, and a very, very cool initiative from sort of like this prototype that is developed by a contributor to the network, to integrating it into the wallet, and then to even have a track for it. I think super impressive, and yeah, congratulations there. Next up, I wanted to bring up a very cool growth project that has been doing great work. Just kind of a shout out for all of the stuff that Cowatt has been doing in the past month. They have been voted as one of the top 10 emerging charging networks in France. If you're not familiar with Cowatt, it is an EV charging station that also deeply integrates Web3 through membership models, through tokenization of the energy you can put into your car. They have been expanding very, very aggressively, as you can see on this graphic, from 1320 to 60 stations, to now, I think, opening basically a new one every week at least. And so that is accelerating greatly. Yeah, shout out to what they're doing. They also just announced that this year is going to be the first year they'll reach break-even point before the end of the year, which is also huge news. No longer depending on fundraising, becoming profitable within, I think, 3 years of launching, in a very, very competitive market in Europe is very, very impressive. Have also announced bringing more value to the token, the Cowatt token, by burning the supplies. So yeah, super, super big shout out to Cowatt for what they're doing. And another project launching, or having just launched on MultiverseX, is Pell. And Pell is very, very interesting, and I'll let Robert talk about this a little bit, because Pell finally brings Bitcoin very, very close to not just our hearts, but our network, through restaking. And maybe, Robert, you can kind of take it. Why is this sort of innovation something that is needed? How can we interact with it? What's going on, and what can we expect from Pell, sort of as from a network perspective here?
Sorry, I think I had to snooze.
Yes, not muted.
You
This is
did.
live. If you
All right. I
if you didn't
wanted to
believe it
mute,
before,
but it didn't work it out. Sorry for that. I thought it went away, but it didn't. So Pell Network, they are from Asia. They have built this omni-chain Bitcoin restaking protocol, which means that they deploy multiple contracts in multiple ecosystems. And there, if you have Bitcoin, you can wrap Bitcoin of various versions. There, you can use that Bitcoin in a restaking module. And then projects can tap into that restaking module to have much bigger security of their own network. Economic security, I am speaking about here, about economic security. And on the other hand, they will be the ones who will launch the gravity restaking protocol as well for EGLD, meaning
what that
full
is.
EGLD restaking for them. And in case of their EGLD restaking, they will integrate with, I think right now we have 3 or 4 liquid staking modules. If I am not mistaken, it is the Hatom, the Soxno version, and the Salsa version. If I'm not mistaken, those are the 3 right now working. All of them will be integrated when they are, everything is, let's say, open sourced, audited, and everything around it in order to make it happen. In our case, it makes pretty easy to integrate any kind of liquid staking protocol because everything is native. So you have the native assets, and that's why the composability is much bigger. and then the idea with gravity's restaking or PEL restaking of Bitcoin and of EGLD is that projects can launch new sovereign chains or lightspeed chains. We have to figure it out, the new name.
It's temporary.
Yeah. We have a few more days to figure it out. We'll be able to tap into the restaked tokens, and then they don't have to make such a high inflation. And initially, you can support as a supporter if you have EGLD. You take a risk on them a little bit, but the only risk is your EGLD cannot be taken away. The only risk is if you, let's say, restake your EGLD to a wrong validator or a wrong project, which gets slashed. And the idea of the slashing, it is anything which is slashed is distributed towards those who have restaked, so it doesn't get into the bad hands. What PEL is making it even more interesting in terms of liquidity is that they are bringing Bitcoin into the play. Bitcoin, it is an asset class, but it cannot be used for so many things, whatever the Bitcoin maxims and Saylor is saying. Actually, even Saylor is saying that Bitcoin is not even money because you cannot lend it on chain. And everybody knows that there is no lending and borrowing protocol directly on the Bitcoin layer, and it will never be. So you have to wrap it somewhere and use it. So, but you believe in Bitcoin, it offers economic security. You can use it to secure some of the operations economically. This doesn't need to to be a completely new chain. It can be an Oracle service. It can be whatever you want in that sense. It can be even a sequencer, and then the sequencer is posting optimistic rollups, and if something, or ZK rollups, but if somebody catches that sequencer pushing wrong data, then it can be slashed. So those kind of things can happen. And when you have a protocol with a deep enough liquidity into which people and new projects can tap into it, it will happen. So
Yeah.
that's the world they are opening up.
Is there any specific ways that builders, developers should interact with PEL specifically, or is this something
Right, directly to them? They are really good developers, and they will help on anything.
Amazing. Okay, I mean, by the way, one thing that you mentioned that isn't in our highlight reel here is XOXNO or Zoxno, also with their liquid staking module, open source, came out this month, I believe, as well, or lending borrowing is also coming. So that's something I think to also give a shout out to. Even, like a lot of things launching, I think a lot of things happening. And we're about, I think, an hour behind on schedule. We thought maybe we can get this done in 60 minutes. Clearly we cannot. So this is something to think about for the next one. And this is also a place where you guys were super happy to get some feedback on whether this felt too long, what kind of other sections you might want to see, any sort of feedback that you have that can help us improve this for the next month is super appreciated and super welcome. Maybe we'll have some interesting new things. We were talking going into the show about having some very cool, like, gamified developer sort of challenges in parallel running to the show. Hopefully we can start introducing them. If not next show, then the one after. Should we
Sometime.
Yeah, exactly. 1 to 2 weeks maximum on that. How do you guys feel? Yeah, any closing thoughts?
I'm just looking that we have quite a couple of things on the agenda, so we were quite optimistic
Very.
about it. Yeah, but probably we will keep them for the next podcast.
No, I think that the crypto world is changing so
It's too
fast that
fast.
our agenda will change completely. So we don't know what we will talk about next time.
Yeah, I'm quite curious to receive some feedback and to see how the community wants to position this show. We can continue the same format. We will bring the same as we mentioned in the beginning. We will have guests. We will try to make it probably more dynamic, making some demos probably whenever we have some MVPs or proof of
This time,
concepts
this
to
was the
show.
demo, actually.
Exactly, this was a demo correctly. And probably we can bring some hackathon winners, and we will see. I don't know, we will make it very we will try to make it very inspiring and also helpful for developers and builders.
Also, we need some cool idea to make this, let's say, not on chain, but some kind of activity on chain while we are doing this kind of talking. So if anyone has some ideas, just drop us some message and maybe, or let's say,
Wasn't one of
Maybe-
you guys supposed to build an on-chain thing? I totally forgot about that.
I
Who was
think
that?
it was me. We wanted to vote something or to do something on chain. I don't know. I think I know this is the other thing for the hackathon. Sorry. I'm confusing the things.
Well, this should be the last not non-warped or not on-chain action momentum. But this is why it's episode 0. We haven't even started. We're very early.
Day 1.
This is day 0. And we'll improve over time. Yeah. Any closing thoughts on the market, new developments you're looking forward to in March? Anything you guys want to say, and then we'll wrap it up. Robert first.
we have a lot to develop. So I hope that we will give a big chunk of updates on that and what we are doing there. We have a pretty big mission to do it this year, or I think for only for until end of Q2 we have a pretty big insane mission. So let's deliver on that.
Mihai.
Yeah, and March, in theory, is the month when when the community will first touch and feel the Andromeda on testnet. We will encourage not only validators but everyone to come and participate into testing it. Then we will have we hope lots of new projects coming with the hackathon, and also with the growth games is actually starting to happen, and applicants will start delivering on the first milestones. So as I was mentioning, lots of growth is going to be visible starting with this year, February, March, and this does nothing but builds momentum.
Well, that's the way to close this first episode of Momentum, or the 0th episode of Momentum. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Mihai, for taking the time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You will see us maybe in this constellation. Maybe half of us got fired in the meantime for doing such a poor job on this. So we'll see what the constellation is next month. But we are coming back in some formation around this time next month. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, we'll see you. It's time to build all of that. And yeah, be well, do some stuff, and do it today.
Yeah.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Thank you.